Well, U.S. presidential candidates Donald Trump and Kamala Harris will both be looking for an advantage when they meet for their first televised debate on Tuesday.
Yeah, the high-stakes contest for both candidates is expected to be watched by millions and could give one of the contenders an edge in the race for the White House.
It comes only a couple of months after Trump's debate with Joe Biden, which led to the president dropping his re-election bid. Nick Harper looks ahead to what we can expect from the Harris-Trump matchup.
Folks, how are you?
History shows that presidential debates don't normally affect an election, except for when they do.
The total initiative.
In June, Joe Biden's debate performance was not just race-defining, it was race-ending. Leading to his withdrawal just a few weeks later.
I really don't know what he said at the end of that sentence. I don't think he knows what he said either.
Traditionally, political science research suggests that at least general election debates aren't all that consequential. And now we have one that's hugely consequential.
Now Donald Trump gets a second presidential debate with a different, seemingly stronger challenger. Kamala Harris is riding high on a wave of momentum fueled by a Democratic Party that's been energized by the change of candidate. And national polls show Trump trailing Harris by as much as 5%, whereas he was leading Biden by a similar amount before their debate.
Trump, I think, is pretty clearly feeling a little more desperate than he was back in June and July. He's been throwing out a lot of different policy proposals. There's almost kind of whiplash about, Trump is always changing his positions about various things, but, saying, hey, the government should fund IVF and, kind of going all over the place on abortion.
Flip-flopping is a problem for both candidates. Trump has softened his immigration position by suggesting foreign graduates should receive green cards. And he's embraced TikTok and cryptocurrency, both of which he had vehemently opposed. While Harris has changed her stance on issues such as no longer supporting a ban on fracking and becoming more hardline on border security. Campaigns have agreed that the candidates' microphones will remain muted while the other is speaking, so no interruptions. But that's unlikely to stop them both trying the same tactic.
You have two very similar candidates in how they approach debate. Both of them like to get under the skin of the other one. Harris, of course, is a prosecutor, and of course Donald Trump loves to get under other people's skin. He just really likes to call them out on a number of different things. So I anticipate that this will be a very tense debate.
Each candidate will be pushed for precise policy. Trump has made vague promises like mass deportations, despite research suggesting it'll crater the US economy, reducing GDP by around 2.6%. While he's distanced himself from the highly detailed, almost 1,000-page conservative platform known as Project 2025. For her part, Harris has laid out little in the way of foreign policy plans.
Everybody knows what Donald Trump is and what he brings. They've had 4 years of living under him. What is it that Harris wants to do? She's talked very vaguely about a few ideas she has. She needs to put more flesh on the bones.
Also this time, Trump is at a disadvantage when it comes to one major issue: age. With Biden not running, Trump will now be the oldest candidate on the debate stage. His 78 years are likely to draw a contrast to Harris's 59 years. After uncertainty over whether this debate would actually happen, now the candidates are preparing for what could be the most consequential showdown of their career. Substance or style, policy or personality? Voters who've made up their minds and those who haven't will be tuning in to judge the two candidates. It's only one night, just 90 minutes, but in this election, when anything seems possible, it could have a major impact on November's outcome. Nick Harper, CNA, Washington.
Joining us this morning is Bryan DeAngelis, partner at Penta Group. He's also head of its Washington office. Bryan, great to have you on the show this morning. We didn't think Biden versus Trump was going to be consequential, and here we are. So how is this one going to shape the final weeks of the race to the White House?
Well, first, thank you for having me and looking forward to tomorrow night's debate. I would say the stakes could not be higher. This is probably the one and only time the two candidates will meet on stage. And as your segment leading into this indicated, there's a lot for both candidates still to do in an otherwise neck and neck race for the White House. So I think a lot of pressure on Kamala Harris to provide more details, really show Americans who she's going to be as the next president. And there's a lot of pressure on Trump to try to stay disciplined, try to stay focused, and not tip into some of the chaos that tends to turn voters off.
Yeah, Bryan. So, who would it be more consequential for? I mean, people have had 4 years of Trump. They don't really know Kamala Harris. And how could the issues that take center stage, I'm going to guess economy, probably abortion, Gaza, Ukraine, tip the election in favor of either candidate?
Yeah, I would say that the stakes are a little higher for Harris. She's a little bit more unknown. She's also had a tremendous 6 weeks since she's become the nominee, and really a lot of pressure to keep that momentum going, to avoid any stumbles heading into the last leg of this campaign. But there are a number of issues that will work to her advantage, certainly abortion, some of the other economic issues. But there's also a feeling in the United States that the economy isn't going as well as it could be going, that some of the data doesn't really hit the same back at the kitchen table. So she'll have a lot of questions to answer about what she'll do different with Biden, when it comes to her running the economy.
Bryan, I'm wondering whether or not you think Harris will directly address the issue of Trump's age and his mental acuity. I mean, is that going to be something that you think will come up directly? Or is she going to hope that he says something in one of his responses and she'll pounce on that?
No, I think she's going to come out, looking to be that prosecutor that she is and really take the fight to Trump. I think whether it's age, I think she'll certainly talk about some of the criminal issues he's had, some of the more controversial issues that have come up from his presidency. She's really trying to create a contrast between what we saw for Trump for 4 years, and even the 4 years he's been out of office, with her vision for the future. So stark contrast between kind of the chaos and the partisanship of the last several years with a vision for the future. I think she'll come right out of the gate looking to make that case against him.
And Bryan, quick comments on the New York Times Siena poll showing that 28% of likely voters want to know more about Kamala Harris versus 9% for Trump. Is this an opportunity for her, first of all, and how can she capitalize on all this?
It's an opportunity. It's a bit of a risk. Like I said, she's been riding high since she became the nominee and hasn't really had to put a lot of meat on the bone yet. Not a lot of media interviews, not a lot of times outside of the convention where she's been in the national spotlight. So this is a big opportunity for her to reassure voters that she has her own plans, her own vision for the country. They know what Trump is going to bring. Trump's very well defined. Everyone understands what they're getting with him, whether they support him or not. Harris is still a little bit of a question mark for that group of voters. And so to be able to go out there tomorrow night, make that case, show the side of her that's ready to take on this job is critically important.
Bryan, I want to talk about the debate style of the two candidates, the strengths and the weaknesses of them. What both candidates need to focus on to win this debate. So Harris has been criticized as being reluctant to stray from the script, but Trump has been straying too much from the script, and that could be his downfall.
Yeah, that's right. I think the best thing Donald Trump could do is come out and run a very disciplined 90-minute messaging exercise. He's proven time and time again that he can't do that. He can't help himself but share what he's actually thinking in his head, to be after his opponents, to be demeaning towards his opponents. And that can really turn off a lot of voters, especially a lot of the independent swing voters that both candidates are trying to capture in this neck and neck race. Harris, has had good moments in debates, and she's had some moments that I think she wish she could take back. Tomorrow, it'll be important for her to again, really come out and make her case, take the fight to Trump and show that she can stand up to that, but be able to flex a little bit and get off of the talking points, relate to Americans, what they're going through, and show that side of her as well.
Bryan, very quickly, reports say Kamala Harris spoke to Joe Biden as well as Hillary Clinton, both of whom have debated Trump. What advice do you think they absolutely had to give her?
You know, it's probably to not get knocked off your game. I think where Trump wins is when candidates really start to play defense, where they feel under attack and they start to lower themselves down to that kind of schoolyard tussle that he likes to get into. I think she needs to play offense. I think she needs to come out and press her case, be that prosecutor that she was in the beginning of her career, and not let him dictate the terms of this debate.
All right, Bryan, appreciate your insights. Bryan DeAngelis, their partner at Penta Group and also head of its Washington office.